Today I'm going to be installing a Krypt Towers double wakeboard rack on my wake tower, as well as a Krypt Towers combo rack that holds either a surfboard or kneeboard, as well as a wakeboard on my 2021 Yamaha AR195. These are universal racks, and links are down in the description. Let's get started. There are various adapters in here for different size towers. None of them have any kind of labels or stickers or anything, and there are no instructions in the package, so they leave it up to you to figure that out. It's based on, you want, it's my understanding, a little bit of a gap like that when you tighten it down all the way. If it's all the way together, then it means that it's too loose. But if you can tighten it all the way down and have a bit of a gap and it's super tight, then you should be good. Now, something else that I intend to do is to use Loctite, the permanent Loctite on these. I had installed kind of a budget cheap set like this last summer, and I got on the boat and it was just moving around. Every time we had to wait, we had to just take it off. It was so awful. It was just gonna drop the wakeboard in the water and probably scratch up the boat. So I'm gonna take the tools with me just in case I have to take it off, but I intend to do this properly. Hopefully it'll work. So I've got all these. I'm assuming it's gonna be one of these bigger ones. Okay, that fits on there with a bit of a gap. Maybe this won't be super difficult to figure out. That one has not much of a gap at all. I mean, by the time when that clamps down, yeah, I'm not sure if I want to use this one that looks like it's gonna perfectly seal it, possibly give too much of an opening there, or this bigger one that as it tightens down, there's no way. So yeah, I'm not completely sure. See if you can see what I mean. When that clamps down, it's gonna hit itself. May not be able to go as tight as I would like to have it. And the rest of these, I think that one's just way too big. Obviously, either of those fit in here. I'm also not sure which side I want the opening to face. Not sure if that matters. I'm going to go higher up, just about right there. Wow. That's not going to work. Okay, well, I guess I'm going to have to use the smaller one. I mean, even if I wanted to use that one, the bolts are not long enough. Okay, so I won't use the fattest one. Next fattest one it is. Now I'm going to go ahead and jump back up in the boat because I'm going to have to do this from up in there. Okay, that looks like a much better fit. I just have those finger tights so far. Checking my gaps, about the same on each side. Being careful not to over tighten. Just going in a cross pattern from one diagonal from one corner to the other. Starting to close in, I don't have much of a gap left. I'm gonna go too hard. This is aluminum, don't want to break the threads. And I have 0 gap left now. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and install the back plate and see if I can swivel it around at all. As you can see with that configuration, which appeared to be the only configuration, there is no gap at all. I tightened it all the way down, which is what I was hoping to avoid. But you can see that crease right there, or the break in the parts, no gap at all. The back plate uses a fatter screw, so I'm gonna put the 6mm socket on there. Now this one has bungees, and it has a way for you to go ahead and get this lined up so that you're nice and level. I had issues with this last year. This may be the same cheap one that I had last year. Oh, to get it to right at the angle of this tower, I'm either going like that, or I'm going like that. It's difficult to know because the boat, even though I've got the tower up, I'm gonna jump back over here and see which way the boat is leaning, being on the trailer. That's pretty dang near level. If anything, maybe yeah, I don't know. This is a tricky part without it actually being in the water. I cannot tell. Now it is made to adjust. But like I said, I don't know if I need to be right here, and then I can adjust this way if I need to, or oh geez, then otherwise I have to go here. The front of the boat would have to go down very far, so I have no choice but to do it this way, right there. Now, right now I'm not too concerned with whether this bungee is supposed to be on the top or the bottom. Actually, I don't know so far. Right now I'm just going to clamp this up and see if I can get it to swivel around like the one did last year. If I can do this without stripping anything out. I'm going to turn that backwards a little bit so it'll turn past the threads. I think I've got it lined up now. I'm going to go ahead and hop up in there, tighten these up, and see if I can wiggle it around. Yeah, one of the common complaints that I found on these cheaper sets is that the bolts will loosen up and start backing out, and then everything just starts moving around all over the place, hence why the Loctite would be necessary. That's tightened down about as much as I'm comfortable. That's pretty good. That is solid. Way better than pushing down on it. Pulling up. Way better than the one I did last year. That actually seems like it's gonna hold up just fine. Now, I'm not going to use Loctite on these ones that need to be adjustable because I will likely adjust that on the water. Hopefully this is a good angle, but yeah, this appears to be just how I want it. Now, just for fun, I'm going to go ahead and test fit on the forks. The forks use the smaller 5mm screw. Just getting them started by hand. Now I can definitely tell this is angling towards the front, so depending on how the boat sits in the water, I may have to take the backplate off and take it back the other way. Which hopefully that's not the case. I remember the one when I got it set up last season, I was able to get it, I had to switch it around, but I was able to get it level the way that I wanted it. But yeah, for these wakeboard towers, seems like they put the spacer between the holes just right in the wrong spot. Yeah, and all of these would receive Loctite. So there's the first one. I'm not going to yank on that because I don't want to break it, but I mean, I feel like if I really, really pulled on this, I could possibly get it to spin, but I feel like the rack is going to break before I were to do that. So yeah, same thing. I'm going to go ahead and fit this one on. I'm going to make sure that all the parts are here, everything bolts up before I start putting Loctite on everything. I'm also going to throw a couple wakeboards on here and see how everything fits in. Oh, I'm going to grab my extension, don't want to ding up the tower. Got about a 6-inch extension on here, probably overkill. Okay, first one's in there. Again, you can see how they're angled down towards the front of the boat. Unfortunately, I can't really adjust it backwards unless I go really far back to make it past the little adjustment screw. And I'll go ahead and show you what I mean. So this part right here, in order to angle this back, this plate needs to come forward, but the set screws stay place. So I can't bring it forward because I'm all the way there. I would have to take it all the way to the next spot, which angles the whole rack and everything backwards like a ridiculous amount, way too far. Typically, I feel like when we're in the water, the front of the boat is up. So with that being said, these should level out. Now this is what, I'll give you a few different views. This is what it looks like. I've got this here wrapped around, and then it comes back around and goes under this part of the back plate to hold it in place. These are the ones that are super important, need the Loctite on them. This clamp has to stay put or else everything else goes to crap. So you can see with the curvature of the boat, I mean, it's kind of just straightforward, but I could angle the clamp this way just a little bit. This is honestly pretty good. So I'm gonna go ahead and Loctite it up and get it all set up. When you go to Harbor Freight, you have these thread lock options. They've got semi-permanent, which is the blue, the medium, which is red, and then also one they have that's permanent. Semi-permanent, I'm assuming will work just fine. It's funny because the semi-permanent says it's medium strength locking and sealing compound. The other one's labeled as medium strength, so maybe they're actually the same thing. I don't know. But anyways, why trust Harbor Freight? Well, these have fantastic reviews, like 500, 600, like 5-star reviews. So I'm going to go ahead and take the boards off and start taking it back apart. And then I'm going to get Loctite on the clamp and get it mounted. Now, I do feel like this is a good height for the wakeboard rack. I don't really know, though. I may want to get those up higher. I definitely don't want it to interfere with the bimini. When the bimini's down, you can see it fits into this silver little chrome piece right there. So I don't really want to get in the way of that. When the bimini's up, I still want to be able to put the boards on here. So I think this is probably a good height. So that you can see, I am maybe just 2 inches from that weld right there. So I'm not right in the middle by any means. I'm about 2 inches from the weld. I'm thinking this will be a good height too, because the kids will be able to get the boards put up there. Okay, in order to take this bungee off, I mean, there's this little webbing that you can grab hold of. Just undo it on one side, hold on to it, and that's all that takes. I'm gonna do a little bit of Googling to see if I want, if I've got this upside down or not. I looked at some manufacturer photos and it looked like they had the strap, the bungee, starting at the top. So I think we're good there. I just wanted to show you this. It's not squishy. I do believe it's rubber and not plastic, but it's on the top and the bottom and the back. So that should help protect your boards. You can see how close the gap got on the rubber spacer. Now when you're in the boat, you can, I'm doing this one hand right now because I'm holding the camera, but you can wrap this all around. And then like hook it up over here on this side, something like that, so that that's not hanging down everywhere. So that will work great. Okay, and now for the larger bolts, we got the 6mm for the back plate. I'm going to set that out of the way. This is the smaller, the 5mm. I'm going to go ahead and take these out. Just taking it all back apart. I wonder if maybe what I'll do so I don't move this all around. They're already all tightened up. I'm just going to go ahead and do one at a time. Now I'm going to take my box. Sorry about that. I'm going to take my box and hold it right here in case I have any drips at all when I'm putting the thread lock on here. I'm going to use this blue one. If I get any drips, I'll catch them with the bucket. Shake well before using. Wipe parts to get rid of excess grease, oil, and dirt. Apply 1 drop of thread lock to threaded area. Assemble immediately, hand tighten or use wrench if desired. Parts can be used in 15 minutes to 3 hours depending on type of material. Allow cure for 24 hours for maximum strength. These are not going to get quite 24 hours, but it is going to be tomorrow. Okay, so it did say 1 drop. Okay, there's 1 drop. And I'm sure it's going to be impossible to see this, but it did kind of spread around. Don't know if you're going to be able to see that or not, but it did spread around. Doesn't look like it has any fear of falling down. I'm just going to go ahead and tighten this one down all the way. Since everything else is tight. Now, like I said, I don't want to break it. Just give it a good little turn. I remember when I was a boy, I used to work on my bikes. And I would tighten everything as hard as I could, and that would be perfect, you know. And then as I started getting stronger and I started breaking all the bolts and nuts on my bike. So I had to pull back a little bit. Now this one is, with everything being aluminum, I definitely want to be careful. Okay, so same thing, I'm just going to put 1 drop. And by drop, I'm just touching it. That one almost dripped. That was definitely a little bit more. Definitely more than last time. Some of it got all the way up onto the head of the screw. Not too worried about that though. Okay, that one is in. So I'm just going to repeat this process for the next couple here.
Cue the music, cue the music. Dun, 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 dun.
Together, and we put the back plate on. The back plate I'm not going to use Loctite. I suppose if I really wanted the best adhesion there with the Loctite, I should, oh, and I also did not change the angle here. I think it ended up being just fine. It's kind of straightforward. I'm going to put this back on the top. If I really wanted best adhesion, like I was going to say, I would probably go ahead and leave this on here for 24 hours before even putting the back plate back on. But I don't think it's enough to do any damage. I don't think this is going to be moving around at all. So now I'm just going to go ahead and put the back plate back on where I had it with the bungees up, because that's, and it would probably honestly work either way. Just 1 drop, like it said. I'm going to let that go around now. I'm no Loctite expert, or thread lock, as Harbor Freight calls it, but I'm doing it down here close to the end where I know for sure that it goes in. Now you want to make sure that the one that looks longer is on the top. If you did it the other way, well, that wouldn't work out great. You would figure that out pretty quick. Get another one set up. Okay, same thing, just tightening it up, but not so much that I think I'm gonna break the threads. I mean, I certainly could crank that down, but there's no need, especially with this thread lock. That's gonna make up the difference for us. And by the way, this stuff at Harbor Freight's like $2 or $3, so definitely worth the effort. Now, what usually happens, at least if you're like me, you get to start working on something like this, and then you realize that you need this and you don't have it. Then you're trying to decide if you're gonna go all the way to the store just for it or not. Okay. Taking out the trash.
Yeah.
Okay, we are back in commission. And I'll let that sit up. I'm gonna go ahead and put the tower back down. We'll be ready to get out of here tomorrow. Actually, tonight, we're leaving late tonight.
That's all done.
Already got my rack folded back down so I can get out of the garage. Next time I log on, we're gonna be on the lake and we're gonna see how well this holds up on the water. So just as I suspected, this is, excuse me, angled towards the front of the boat a little bit. And if I were to want to adjust this and make it level with the water, I can't, because if I were to try to bring this back, it would hit the bolts. I can't bring it back anymore. So I've got that rack, nice and solid. I didn't bring any wakeboards today, but I've got this big knee board. I'm gonna go ahead and put it up here on this one. It's the same thing. It's angled down towards the front just a little bit. As long as it stays on, that'll be just fine. But anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and put the knee board on there and get it strapped up. Last year when I had the polished aluminum ones, the ones that I didn't have tightened up right, they didn't come with the right size rubber spacers, I had put the knee board with this pad down, thinking it would dry off better or something, but it started roughing it up a little bit. So I'm gonna now put it so that it's up, the rubber part up. Now I'm just getting this all unwrapped. I'm gonna go ahead and put this knee board up there. A little bit wavy right now on the boat. Just wrap that around, make it tight, find a place to hook it, and you'll be all good to go. We'll see what happens when we hit some waves. And I mean, you clearly can see the angle. However, if I were to change it and go to the other side of that rack, the mount, it would be tipping way towards the back.
Out of here! Here's your destination.
We're gonna give it a shot like this and see how it goes.
I can use these handlebars. Here.
Looks great on there. We're gonna go ahead and take these two boys tubing and see how that does.
I got it all wet up here. Got some water down in there. Still not spinning. So this seems to be a great rack. I don't have two boards on there, but the knee boards are pretty heavy. On this other side, don't have anything. Not feeling super great, so we didn't bring the wakeboards. Anyways, we're gonna go ahead and do some knee boarding. I'd say it turned out to be a great success. If you're thinking about getting one of these budget racks, you definitely should. Thanks for watching this video, and hope to catch you for the next one. Adios.